What is the difference between strict and fault liability? Imagine someone gets hurt and you wonder how the law decides who is responsible. That's where understanding the difference between strict and fault liability comes into play. These are two main ways the law assigns blame for injuries. Knowing how they work can help you see why some cases are easier to prove than others. Let's start with strict liability. This means that if someone causes harm, they are responsible no matter what. It doesn't matter if they were careful or careless. The law says, if you do certain risky activities or make dangerous products, you are automatically liable if someone gets hurt. For example, if a toy is defective and causes injury, the manufacturer can be held responsible even if they took all safety precautions. Or if a dog bites someone, the owner might be strictly liable, regardless of whether the dog had a history of biting or not. The injured person only needs to show that the injury happened and was caused by the defendant's activity or product. They don't have to prove the defendant was negligent or intended harm. Now, fault liability, also called negligence, works differently. Here, the injured person must prove that the defendant was at fault. That means showing the defendant failed to act reasonably. To do this, they need to prove four things. First, the defendant owed a duty of care, which means they had a responsibility to act safely. Second, the defendant breached that duty through careless or unreasonable behavior. Third, this breach directly caused the injury. And finally, the injured person suffered damages or harm. For example, if someone runs a red light and hits another car, they are negligent because they didn't drive carefully. The injured driver must show the driver was careless and caused the accident. The main difference between these two types of liability is what proof is needed. Strict liability doesn't require proving fault, only that the injury resulted from a risky activity or defective product. Fault liability requires showing the defendant was careless or negligent. This makes strict liability useful in cases where proving carelessness is hard, like product injuries. Fault liability covers most everyday injury cases, like car accidents or slip and falls, where carelessness is involved. Defenses also differ. In strict liability cases, defenses like assumption of risk or misuse of a product might reduce or eliminate liability. But generally, fault liability cases can be defended by denying the duty or breach, or showing the injured person was partly responsible. Understanding these differences helps clarify how the law assigns responsibility. It also guides what kind of evidence you need to prove your case. Whether it's a defective product or a careless act, knowing if strict or fault liability applies can make a big difference in personal injury claims.